YouTube, today I've got two disgusting stories coming from you regarding mothers who take the lives of their children. We start in the state of Maryland. Now, on the 7th of September 2014, Sonya Spoon is being escorted by the police to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. See, on the way to the hospital, she kept saying, "I'm going to kill myself and I'm going to kill my daughter, Kayla, who was 3 years old." Police, earlier in the day, had found Kayla and her younger brother Aiden with plastic bags over their head tied by duct tape. According to the court documents, Sonya had been engaged in several custody battles regarding the children and had struggled with mental health issues leading up to these events. On the day of the murders, authorities received a call at 2:15 p.m. by the maternal grandmother of the children. Her name is Pavy Spoon, and when she called 911, she said Kayla and Aiden are not breathing. According to the case file, Pava went on to tell the police that Sonya woke her up and she said, "Mother, mother, I've killed the children." This is when Pavy ran to the room and she found the children with the bags over their heads. She then removed the bags and the duct tape and she tried to administer CPR. Having called 911, an ambulance crew came immediately and the children were then taken to a children's hospital in Washington, D.C. They were taken to the Children's National Medical Center and then shortly after, they were pronounced dead. Lester Thompson, who is the father of Kayla, he went and told the police that Sonya had actually been hospitalized before these events, but then was released. But he did also tell the police, again, the father of Kayla, that he didn't have any reason to believe that Sonya would do this. He said that Sonya seemed pretty docile and she never showed an inkling that she would take the lives of her own children. She had her issues, but they were never this bad. Thompson said that him and Sonya broke up shortly after Kayla's birth and that Sonya tried to take sole custody of Kayla. Now, regarding the mediation between the two, a judge did try and have 50-50 custody, but Sonya refused this. Now, the police spoke to their neighbors and the neighbors said that Sonya and her children recently moved into the area with her parents. Millicent Forbes, who's one of the neighbors, told police, "I've seen their grandchildren sometimes. They've only been here recently, maybe a couple of months." Millicent went on to say that she saw Pavy Spoon speaking to ambulances and police officers, and after that, the house seemed very quiet as there was no more grandchildren. And it seems to me that Sonya literally just took their lives so she could spite the father. Maybe she was going through some mental health issues, who knows. Now, during the trial, Sonya pleaded guilty and eventually was sentenced to 45 years in jail. Now, what's interesting about this is obviously a psych evaluation was done, and a psych evaluation found that she was competent to stand trial. The judge did take into consideration that she's going through a lot of stress with the ex-husband, boyfriend, or whatever he was, which is why the judge only gave 22 years per child. You know, and I know that's not enough. But the fact that the courts, who heavily go through these psych evaluations, right? Maybe sometimes even 3 or 4 different doctors speak to the suspect to ensure that they are of sound mind. And given that this was the conclusion, and she still went through with it, to me is insane. How dare you do that to these children? During the trial, she did say, "Well, I apologize to Aiden and to Kayla for what I did." What the fuck does your apology do now? We now move on to Leatrice Brewer, who was located in Nassau County in New York. Now, on February the 24th, 2008, police officers arrived at her house. When the police came, Leatrice told them that earlier that day at 4 a.m., she woke up her 6-year-old daughter, Jewel Ward. She told the daughter, "It's time to go." Then she slit the daughter's throat. She then placed the girl back in her bed and then started the bath. She then drowned 18-month-old innocent Demisu. She drowned him in the bathtub, then put him in the bed next to Jewel. She then noticed her daughter was alive. She then drowned her too, in the same bathtub. Jewel, that is. She then took her middle child, 5-year-old Michael, and drowned him using the same bathtub. When she spoke to the police, she told the police that she ingested a combination of bleach, Windex, OxyClean, along with a bottle of aspirin. She then climbed into the bed with the children, hoping she would die as well. And as I tell you this story, I have adrenaline and butterflies just running through my stomach. You guys know I'm a father myself, and you know, when you hear these stories about children when you're a parent yourself, it's like there are no fucking words. So she goes to bed with the children. She then wakes up and realizes that she's still alive, so then she tried to commit suicide again. She did so by jumping out of her 2-story apartment building window. But this was unsuccessful as she was still alive, so then she called 911 and confessed to the killings. Now, of course, particularly in a case like this, a psychiatric evaluation was conducted. They concluded that Leatrice Brewer suffered with major depressive disorder, with psychotic features, hallucinations, and paranoia. Now, the reports did say that Brewer did understand that she was taking the lives of her children, but believed at the time that she was doing so to save them and herself, to what she believed were continuing and potentially mortal effects of voodoo, having stated to the police that she killed the children to protect them from evil spirits. Now, the DA, he realized that if the defense was to make a case of not guilty by reason of insanity, then the defense would be successful. So Leatrice entered a not responsible plea and waived her right to a criminal trial. As a result, Brewer was incarcerated indefinitely at the Mid-Hudson Forensic Psychiatrist Center. So you've got two cases here. The first one where she took the lives of her children just to spite her husband. The second one, voodoo, evil spirits. I mean, if you are going to do that to your children, have a look at the events, right? She wakes her child up, gets a knife, strikes at the neck. She then goes and drowns the other child. Then she realizes the first child is still alive. Then she drowns that child. So there's events within events. And at any point, you can stop. But she didn't. There had to have been something in her faculties that were completely numb or just stopped. Like this, like the insanity defense, the insanity acceptance, so to speak, right, makes sense to me. You have to be criminally insane to do what Leatrice did. But I'm no expert, it's just my opinion. The first one, however, Sonya, she just did it out of being fucking bored. Her life was shit. Her boyfriend or husband or whatever, he seemed like he had a okay life. I guess he was happy with this separation agreement and seeing his daughter only once or twice a week or whatever it was. But she hated it. She hated the fact that he was okay. So to spite him, she killed her children. There are no words as a parent. Comment, tell me what you think.